Greetings, Windmills. I'm Andy.
And I'm Josh.
And welcome back to the Windmill full of horses.
Talk! So yeah, it's fanboy time for everyone watching.
Okay, so I have what?
Well, more seconds. Because he made the mess. Come back!
I gotta keep everything in balance. Especially when we're talking about such precious items. So, those who have been following us a long time have seen me occasionally fangirl about Ex Libris, but I never really had the chance to do it properly because none of the guys released any new music in any context, as far as I know, since we started the Windmill. But now, Dianne van Giersbergen, my Dutch accent, Dianne van Giersbergen, I'm gonna call her Dianne, has released a new song with a band from the UK called Ritual, which is probably the only Ritual band that doesn't play black metal as far as I know.
Well, in all fairness, they released the song with her. I'll stop now.
My fixation is where my fixation is. Okay, this band released a new EP, and their first single, which also has a video, features Dianne, who is the vocalist of Ex Libris. She was also the vocalist of Xantria for their albums Sacrificium and Theater of Dimension, so it's likely that you probably have heard of her there if you're not as much of a prog nerd and more of a symphonic metal nerd. Personally, I'm both, and Ex Libris is one of the reasons. So this EP, if I got it right, will feature her. It will feature Anneke van Giersbergen, who is not related, and it will feature my boy Dev.
The sexiest of the three.
Yes. So
no, I'm not gay. No, there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, so I've basically been fangirling about this person's voice ever since I found out she existed. And it's time to keep that going, I guess. So it's a short song. I think it's like nothing she's done before, and I couldn't be more hyped. Ritual, 7 Gates, feat. Dianne van Giersbergen. Are you ready?
No.
You wield a royal sword, heroes the heathens in a bastion of thieves. Creon, you cannot deceive. This one to say, cause I got more to pick with my creator. Head to roll for the prodigal one. Creon, he will not be shunned.
Dude, how does this work? This is like opera metal meets street metal. How?
Well,
how?
I've always liked the idea of combining worlds that shouldn't work. Like, you take... This is kind of like putting actual opera, I don't know how else to put it, and Linkin Park's One Step Closer.
Kind of, yeah.
Vibe-wise, not necessarily music-wise.
Yeah. And it's so curious also seeing Dianne in this context because she's such a theatrical person, and this is kind of like a playthrough video, and she doesn't really have like an actual role to play. It's just musical, and it's really cool how she's fitted that style of vocals in. And there's also layering, and I like layering, and it's kind of evil and creepy, and she scares the crap out of me.
Well, what I really liked about her parts is we've already seen this from her when she did vocals on Transitus by Arion, is that you don't need words to express a lot of things. And as far as the opera vocals go, that's also what's been going on here. She didn't have lyrics. She just had her voice. She only had words in the whispering stuff that are like really creepy and eerie and, like you said, scaring the crap out of you. But
Yes.
I liked how she merged that in there. I think it had a bit of delay echo effect, so it was kind of ghostly. And with the opera layer in the background, so it kind of really sets the creepy tone, I think. Like, opera vocals on their own can mean a lot of things, but just putting that whisper on top all of a sudden like makes it clear that this is a scary thing, kind of. And then
more or less, yeah.
Yeah, like, you know what it reminded me a bit of tone-wise, and this is completely out of context, the musical theme to Midsummer Murders.
Okay, I get where you're coming from, but again, it's such a contrast to the rest of the music, and it also I also want to talk a bit about the rest of the band, because they have this groove-infused thing. And that's part of what I like about fitting opera in a metal context, because opera to metalheads like us who like the headbang tends to be flat in terms of delivery as a dynamic, not to put down opera singers or anything like that. Dianne is one, and probably the most authentic actual opera singer that I know in metal. So to have that groove alternate really satisfies the dynamics as well. Also, he did the lip at the beginning of the song. And you know someone knows their riffs when they do the lip.
Or the sneaky face.
We should go.
We should go.
Bro.
Ow, my feelings.
Yeah. And lots of things, feelings included. I'm not sure I'm that much of a fan of the shouty, clean vocals that the band has, that their singer has, but I get why it works in the context. They made everything a bit more homogeneous towards the end and alternating more quickly.
I wouldn't say it's my vocal style either, but it does work. And it works with a sort of slamming, kind of undecent sort of attitude they got going on. And that's why it's such a cool contrast, because on one side you have like real, like poised culture, opera, and on the other hand you have thugs. Like that's kind of what it looks like to me. So, and they're having fun together. That's the vibe that you see if you look at their faces.
Yeah, that's what I like. Dianne is like the epitome of elegance, and these guys look like they would throw their beer can on the street after they finish drinking it. And I mean that just as a vibe. I'm not saying anything about them as people, just to make that clear. But yeah, I was gonna say the same thing. They're so into it together and they're enjoying themselves, and that's what you do with a song like this because it's boppy and fun.
Yeah, it is fun, and it's, you know, I'm gonna get into psychological and behavioral stuff here a bit, but I see people a lot of the times just condemning what's not like them. You know, like if you're in a certain way, if you like a certain things and something doesn't vibe with it, you'll be like against that. Like really, I don't know. There were times in the past and definitely in my childhood where people who would like listen to opera or be really cultured and stuff would have a tendency to condemn or look down upon like fun stuff or rock or alternative or basically the kids that were having fun. So I think this is like a really cool mentality kind of going on here where you take like these extremely contrasting vibes and the people that create them and you bring them together and they can have fun and they, I don't know,
okay.
It means more than just the musical contrast to me.
I wanna, it's one of the few times when I actually wanna chip into your psychological mumbo jumbo rant. I don't actually think that's the case with people. I think that's just an impulsive moment response on the internet. But I think people, especially today, are actually pretty open to different stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's actually what I'm wanting to point out. It's like that. Those are things that I've seen in the past. I'm not saying it's happening all the time or anything.
That's why these fusion things that work so well, and that's why they unite people.
Yeah.
We like innovation, and they do this so well here. Also, the drum tones sound a bit like Saint Anger, and the guitar tones aren't that metal, but despite that, it still sounds very metal. That is completely out of context with what we were saying, but I said it anyway.
Guess we're gonna change the context. So what I think I've actually seen the band labeled as progressive rock, not metal, and they definitely have a rock and roll vibe kind of in the way the riffs are written and stuff, but they also have the groovy chops and changes in rhythm that I would associate more to like prog metal bands like Leprous or Haken maybe.
Yeah.
And they had all these noodly stuff and on the guitar coming in here and there there was one moment where the riff just stopped and then they did 3 pinch harmonics and then landed back in the riff, for example. So
I think I remember that.
This sort of cuts and starts, they while the groove is going and you're into it, they just sprinkle surprises in there without breaking the groove. So that's really cool. Yeah, I love the drums. I love the drum groove. I think it's my favorite thing instrumentally about the whole thing. Damn, this was, for a less than 4-minute song, there was a lot packed in there and a lot to talk about. But I think we're gonna stop here because we've been going for a while. So if you enjoyed this reaction, we greatly appreciate the likes and shares. And if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe with bells on.
Thank you very much for stopping by. We hope you enjoyed your stay, and we'd love to see you back at Windmill very soon.
Of course, yeah.